one. And there I am. Good girl. It worked. Okay. Good morning out there. YouTube, Royal YouTube. Morning out there again, Royal YouTube. All that icky stuff that's been going on. And then a little preoccupied with trying to live rather than be, as I indicated on my type post, rather than be expunged from fumes that God only knows how they're coming in. However, God knows what Satan does. My roll God is roll heaven, and roll heaven, not roll heaven. Getting on and off the high stool that I was introduced to at 11 by another royal blood who's deceased now from a drug overdose. It's all over the world. From everywhere you can imagine to just the average street corner. And I thought I'd share my latest activities. As a result. For instance, yesterday, which was August 22nd, where I'm concerned, I say Royal August 22nd, Royal 2019, thank my Royal God of Royal Heaven and Royal Heaven of Royal Heaven for. I had a scheduled appointment and was supposed to be royal because I'm there, Bethel, Connecticut. And the appointment was scheduled for ARP, this driver safety class, which I drove to, got to on time. Read this because of my back. I'd rather have it not go out. And it's a little bit there from yesterday's stress. Stress will do it on an ailing back. So I got there. Class was from 1 to 5. I got there. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Before 1, but got into the building, and their Otis elevator had a breakdown yesterday with the person in it. In fact, the person who is responsible for inviting art class teachers, or not teachers, they're not teachers, art class, I forget how they label them, representatives, speakers, whatever, to do the driver safety class. And so I got there, and I used an aerobatic chair to get to that point, which is a combination of seat, walker, to help me carry my my belongings, such as my purse and anything else that I carry with me, to and from my car, up and down the stairs, up and down the steps, walking for any distance, because it takes the pressure off my back and my leg so that it stays able without being incapacitated. So I got there, I get into the building, finally, and it's not an easy thing to do because you got to walk all around the building in order to do that. And then get in the building. I was directed where the elevator was, where the elevator is. Get to the elevator, and there's an out of order sign on the elevator. So then what do? Rather than go back to where I was directed, I figured I better, if there's an elevator, there has to be steps or stairs. So I had to look for the steps or the stairs in order to get to the class, because the class is in the basement where the senior hall, they call it the senior center, not a senior hall. The senior center is, and that's where ARC was being, the class was being held. I find the steps, or the steps finally. There's 2 flights of stairs or steps to go down. I have to lift my aerobatic chair, walker, because I was concerned about falling if pushing it down the stairs because of the awkwardness of the stairs or the steps. I finally get down to the bottom, and then you have to go into, you haven't entered the building of where the senior center is at, the basement. And I thought, oh, I pray it's not locked. It wasn't. And I get inside, and then you have to walk around the entire basement in order to get to where the classroom is. I get to the classroom. There's a person who helps with the person who got stuck in the elevator now Wednesday. And that person indicates, it takes my name and says, I just went ahead and towards the class. Get to the class, the door is locked. I knock on the door. The person instructor, that's what they call it. The person who was supposed to be instructing the class comes to the door, sticks his pathetic head out, and he's a Satan worshiper, and says to me, the class is closed. I'm not letting anybody else in. I was like, what? I was like, the time is 1:10 at that point. I was like, do you realize what it was like getting into the building and getting to this classroom? The elevator is broken. So he said, I don't care, my class is closed. So I go to the person who is the hostess for inviting Art, and I say, they were like, what's the story? I said, he is not allowing anyone in the class at this point. He's like, what? So she goes over, and the other person, I forget their names, okay? And the other person indicates he's locked the door. She says, person says, he's locked the door. They were like, whoa, this is ridiculous. So they go, the one who got stuck in the elevator goes and gets the key and unlocks the door. Sticks most of the body in and says, hey, we have, as you know, a broken elevator. In order to get to the elevator, you guys, and then you got to walk around the entire building. What's your problem? And it's only 10 minutes. He's like, I don't care. I'm not letting anybody else in my class. In his class. So he is not only he's an ARP instructor, but he's there because he's taken over the entire building. So I'm like, before I walked into the class, after I told them what had occurred with the door being locked, the two of them they're looking at each other, looking at me like, he was here years ago, and when he appeared, we were like, what is he doing back here? Apparently, he was not appreciated when he was there years ago. And why is he there now? He was not obviously there to be an instructor. He was there to be a Satan chaos person for whatever bribe reason to disrupt the order of the driver safety class as it's supposed to be done, which is put on, well, in this particular case by ARC, because there are other drive safety courses that you can take through other organizations. But that's it. So everybody's like really out of sorts and annoyed. Okay. I then leave. Another person comes in and sits in one of the chairs and practically breaks down in tears because it was told something is patsa, not allowing anybody in the class at this point. It's not even 1:30 at that point. So I leave, and the other person leaves as well. It was able to get out of the building faster than me. And when I get out of the building finally, it's because I had a little discussion with the person who is the hostess for the class, and including making reservations for a future time. So when I get outside, that person's sitting with another person, and I guess dismay, I don't know. Okay, I just said, roll God of roll heaven, in roll heaven. He returns to anyone and everyone what they dish out of Satan to others. And I said, he's an old man and his time shall be. And I just left. I went to my car. I telephoned the art headquarters, reported the complaint, and left it at that. So then, I then drove back to Danbury to check out why I hadn't received my property tax for my car on for this year. I get into the tax assessor's office. Actually, I forget where you pay the property tax, to find that there was no bill. That was the reason I never received it. So they said, go over to the tax assessor's office, and maybe they should be able to explain what the story is. So I go in there, and the person was very irate, like the person at the instructor at the, what do you call it? At the art class at the Bethel Senior Center. And I should call it Royal, but based on that kind of carrying on, goings on, that ain't oil. That ain't Royal. And Goo was there with the wig on, okay? You know, my ex, who was happening to me, my blood as well, so he was bribing and causing all kinds of chaos, right along with Faza. You know Faza, Charlie, Frankie, Stevie, all those names he's carried on in his life. Well, it was all there. So, supposedly in Dubai on Facebook and sometime YouTube. In any case, I go, so I'm like, what is the story with my, the property bill for my car, the property tax bill? It supposedly, all of a sudden the person appeared out of nowhere. I looked, I said, I recognize the face, but I can't figure out who it is. So I didn't say anything. And it goes in, and it does something, and comes out with a piece of paper telling me that I hadn't paid for my registration, which is a lie. I went there and I paid them cash with a receipt and all, plus the original documentation of the motor vehicle records, which I always keep and copy, and I put a copy in my car. Not the original, never the original. But they were able to download the payment for me to make. So I went to the office, and they said, what's the story? To the payment office, they said, I was going to leave. They said, what's the story? And I said, you're not going to believe it, but they're claiming that my registration was not paid for. I was like, how absurd. Now, I have insurance on my car. You can't get insurance on an unregistered vehicle. Okay, that's number one. I have the emissions on my car. You can't get emissions without an unregistered vehicle. So there you go. Okay, so the office says, let me see what at that point, the payment office says, let me see what's going to come up on the computer now. Lo and behold, the payment comes up on the computer. But the person who happens to be a Sarah Jessica Parker, the Carolyn Bissett, who's defaced with the mask and all, on my ceiling as blackface, appears there. So that could be nothing but criminal trouble and criminal yuck, okay? Because nothing that does is real, but nothing but crime. So I'm like, okay. And so that does that. So I pay the bill. Well, I deliberate whether or not I should go over to motor vehicle or whatever. I said, but that's no point, because I know that this is not real, okay? Nothing that those people will do is going to be real. They're worshiping Satan, and everything that they do, follow, harass, stalk, and that's what that was about, is crime. So I just say, okay, They said, yeah, and suggestion I would make is that you should do it ABC way, because you know what the story is there. So then I do some suggestions I take, and then I do it my way. Okay, so I leave there, and I did something else before even going there, but that's not relevant really. Okay, as far as it's just a task that I need to do for copying and stuff. So then I said, okay, fine. I'm gonna trace back onto my house apartment, my row house apartment where I live. That's what it is. And I do that. And from 6 o'clock until midnight, I'm looking for the original documentation that I've received from Department of Motor Vehicle in the last, I would say since 2015. And it doesn't exist. It's not in my files. I had, this video void, okay? And there is a master key that was being utilized for illicit reasons back at that time. And some people that are supposed to be dead were part of it, okay? And they would use the video voyeur to get your codes and stuff, come in. And one particular, I remember one, in fact, it happened during my last class of art. It happened around that time. This was 2017. When I get to I received a call from art, rather from my security system. It came up, and then a telephone call was made from my house, which we could not explain to this day. Okay, other than the fact that someone had to come in and make the call. Okay, and my camera, they did something, whatever. Okay, and I found out when I needed to replace my checkbook, my checks, to start a new series of checks. My entire series of checks had disappeared. And that's the last time I looked at my registration, aside from the one that was in my copy of it, that was in my car, which I gave to a copy of it last year for 2 copies for 2 specific reasons. I had to, when they said I needed a copy, I just went to my car, went in, made a copy of it, and put it back. Well, I checked my car. It took me, when I left the Danbury Town Hall, which is supposed to be royal, I thoroughly checked my car, and the registration copy was not there as of yesterday. So it was taken out of my car. This has been sabotaging my car, so obviously anything to do with whatever their crimes are was, of course, the registration. So it was linked to the persons who had my check, who had got my checks, which are null and void now, and the persons who got I covered the original Department of Motor Vehicle registration information, plus the registration itself, plus my emissions. God. Now I have all kinds of records that are still there, but not that. That is not there with the receipt for my for all of this being done. Okay, and along with, even prior to the years that I moved here, as of 2015, 2013, gone. Any envelope that had Department of Motor Vehicle on it was Tanika. It was taken. So there you go. Okay, so that was the story connection between Danbury Town Hall and motor vehicle, plus art, which is the purpose of my being there, had to do with motor vehicle because I get a discount. Plus, you learn information by taking that driver safety course. It's a really good thing to do. I've always appreciated doing it. I've always loved doing it. So that was the story. That is the story. You have criminal element doing criminal stuff for criminal reasons. And that is what Royal God of Royal Heaven has asked us to rebuke. As of yesterday, not only did my profanity increase, but like I said to Royal Father last week, in confession in our way, because I didn't go into the confession group. I was like, I'm a sinner because I swear. Okay? He said, what do you say? I swear. Okay? And that's it. Okay? Well, and I was becoming bigoted. Okay? Because Jewish people are supposed to be Jewish, loving Royal God of Royal Heaven. They have been separated because Jews are the people that crucified Jesus, not the Jewish and other people that love God under other religions. They are religious Jewish people. The Jews said, crucify, crucify, kill, kill. The Pharisees, all of them. Okay? So there is where that is. And then there's other faces. There's all kinds. It's not only the black face. They use many different faces, which is illegal disguises of illegal identities, because that's not the person that's supposed to be. They were not born to be that person. That's illegal. That's false identity. Okay, so there you have it. That's it. But I decided with my Royal God of Royal Heaven and Royal Heaven, rather than ask forgiveness for my swearing, because I'll have to do that for the rest of my life, I imagine, because when I get annoyed, I can swear. And as far as the other is concerned, ask him to remove Satan and any form of Satan from my inner being. It's like forgive me because they are not allowed to enter under my roof. They are not to enter in my presence. And that's it. So I'm done. But there is, I think, a good synopsis of what carried on and what shouldn't have been. And I am Royal Alice, and I'm done. Okay? And the Dunn Jr. needs to get his act together because he's destroying his father. Okay? And he knows what I mean. And he knows what he does and what he shouldn't be doing. Okay? Just like anybody else. Oh, I gotta pick up his battery. And they need to go to the cycle. In fact, he's supposed to be a prodigal example for everybody else. Just like royals. That's why God made and allowed kingdoms and queenship to be. That's why his mother is called the queen of all queens, the mother of all mothers, because she is the example for all the world to know what we are supposed to replicate, exemplify as a woman born in this world, as a girl. And men, he gave us the only begotten Son, Royal Jesus, now in Royal Heaven of Royal Heaven, who is with us in spirit, body and soul and mind. And then he gave us not only Jesus for implanting, which was like an insemination, from the angel royal Gabriel, and he gave her and us, royal Joseph, to give us a complete holy family, to show us the way for all world, all time, what he meant and what he means for this world to be made up of and from, and how the original sin of Adam and Eve is not acceptable because they defied God and they took Satan. Anytime that you defy God and take Satan, you're a product of hell. And that's the way it is. So there is no angelic in Satan's way. You cannot be angelic and be practicing Satan. I don't care who you are. You can be you can be Pope. And I'll call the Pope Royal Pope because that's what he's supposed to be. He's a representative of royal God of royal heaven, in royal heaven, as like one of the disciples. And if he defies royal God of royal heaven and royal heaven, he goes to hell just like everybody else, as did Judah. In fact, Judah went to hell before he went to hell because he committed suicide because of his betrayal to royal God of royal heaven and royal heaven of royal heaven. So do you think you are any different? There is no worthiness without him. There's no worthiness without royal God of royal heaven and royal heaven. Even the thought frame of mind makes you unworthy. So know it. Now, my mother knows it. And even on the phone yesterday, I had to be given messages of examples of my mother, Amani Glover, who was one of the wealthiest, richest women in the world as a result of being helped by my mother. She is a billionaire over and over and over again 3 times. And she was not even with a place to live at Royal Marymount College and became one of my friends. And I refused to go to England with her and her boyfriend because I felt that my place was where it was, and that's the way it is. And I have never regretted that decision. It's just that the billions and billions can help in doing what royal God of royal heaven and royal heaven has obviously chosen me to do and be. Now, on that, I will say you have a blessing and say prayers to royal God of royal heaven, and I'm finisca. That means finished.